Now, more news coming in. Intelligence sources have said that terror mastermind Hafiz Saeed is trying to help terrorists infiltrate in India, and the route that they are exploring is via water bodies. They've said that 8 to 9 terrorists can use Nikki Tavi and Badi Tavi rivers to mount an infiltration attempt in the country. They add that Lashkar commander Abu Irfan Tandewala has reportedly been given responsibility for this infiltration by Hafiz Saeed. In response, Indian authorities have beefed up security along these routes. Hafiz Saeed, who's been spewing venom against India and warning a terror strike in response to the India's surgical strike. He's also waked up Prime Minister Modi in his venomous speeches, saying that Kashmiri Mujahideens will now be retaliating. Now, intel sources have told India today that's a proxy war being fueled by 2611 plotter who's roaming free in Pakistan. Once again, a proof of how Pakistan continues to support terror in spite of a global pressure, in spite of diplomatic isolation, and in spite of even the US designating him as the most wanted terrorist. Hafiz Saeed back to its anti-India tactic. My colleague Jugal is joining us on the story. So Jugal, what's the latest that we're hearing on this plan of Hafiz Saeed, as water route seems to be a favorable option by Hafiz Saeed and the likes for proxy war in India?
That's right, Devina. We're hearing from our intelligence sources that this is the discussion that is taking place within the LET headquarters, and this is the responsibility that Hafiz Saeed has given to one of his top LET commanders. However, having said that, Devina, it isn't new. It isn't for the first time that the terrorist elements inside Pakistan are looking at exploiting the water route. Now, we are all aware of the 1993 blasts when the seas were used to transport equipment. We are aware of the 2611. We are also aware of several other attacks in Jammu and in Punjab where the riverine areas have been exploited by the LET and the terrorist establishment on the whole. So this isn't new, of course. The government is aware of it. In fact, the BSF has already initiated a pilot project to actually have laser walls and have sensors underwater to detect any movement of people, of personnel underwater. So there is work which is happening on this, but this is of course being reported by intelligence agencies as being the latest round of aggression against India, the latest round of terror planning against India. Back to you.
Well, also, Jugal, how we'd seen even in Uri attack and Pampore attack, how terrorists had used the river body routes to escape and also to sneak in. So this seems to be a major concern for security forces. Thanks for joining us for the moment. But these terrorists have to remember that our brave forces stand tall in the face of the enemy. Their each infiltration bid is foiled by the likes of Guru Sevak, who do not think twice before sacrificing their lives for the nation. A martyr in every true spirit. While terrorists like Hafiz Saeed can rant, can spew venom against India from their safe havens in Pakistan, but it's martyrs like Guru Sevak that India is proud of. His last rites being performed in Taran in Punjab. His hometown, you have villagers gathered to pay last respect to the martyr on his last journey, and India salutes him as well, because it's the brave heart like these who've been able to not only foil the infiltration bids of terrorists, but also to give them a message that come what may, these are the forces who are guarding our walls day and night, and these are forces that are not to be messed around with. These are forces that are made of steel, have an iron heart. They do not think about their family, they do not think about their personal relationships. They only think about one duty, and that's for the nation, keeping the nation before self, doing their duty. These are the shots that we are still getting. That was a reaction from Guru Sevak's hometown, who was killed in Poonch sector on Sunday. He's the second martyr from the village, which has a long tradition to send men in army. Guru Sevak's marriage, in fact, was fixed for February next year. He was to come to village in last week of January. Unfortunately, his mortal remains reached his family members. The family was expecting to see Guru Sevak by the last week of January. They had made all the arrangements, but now it's the last and final journey in which they're saying goodbye and farewell to this brave heart, the brave heart of Indian soil. Guru Sevak's father has been proud of his sacrifice. Earlier, when interacting to media, Balwinder Singh has said Guru Sevak got job in the army 3 years back, and we are proud of him sacrificing his life for the nation. And it's heroes like him who who ensure that India is protected from the treacherous attempts by our enemy. It's heroes like him that India is proud of and indebted to for all our lives. And its entire village, which is now turned out for Gursevak's last rites. We have my colleague Gaurav Sawant joining us at this moment. Gaurav, second brave heart from the same village. And these are tears that we can see on the loved ones, but there's also a pride in their eyes. Proud of having another son, sacrificing him for the nation.
Brave Gursevak was sitting in an ambush. There was apprehension of a Pakistani infiltration attempt, and that is where the Pakistani post nearest to this location opened fire, in which he was combating the Pakistani infiltration. Some of his superiors, one of his officers told India Today that he fought very bravely. Some of the other men had ducked for cover, but he continued to fire in the direction of the infiltrators to ensure that under cover of Pakistani firing ceasefire violations, terrorists don't manage to infiltrate. This was his gallantry. Again, we've had 2 fatal casualties just yesterday, and even this morning there have been a series of ceasefire violations by Pakistan, both in the Mender sector and Poonch sector, because with the winter snow coming in north of Pir Panjal, the infiltration attempts have increased south of Pir Panjal in this Poonch Mender area, and Indian Army has launched a massive fire assault to counter Pakistan's infiltration at this point in time.
And Gaurav, even as we remember Gursevak for all the brave attempts that he made to foil the terrorist attempts, but Sepoy Gursevak Singh of 22 Sikh Regiment was set to get married in February this year. I'm surprised every time that how they put the nation before themselves, how their family members who are looking at the Gursevaks coming home by January next year, when seeing the mortal remains also, remain very strong. They are made of steel. They're made of a different mud altogether.
It's all about, and this nation is all about relentless assaults taking place at the line of control, in the depth areas, in hinterland. And this is where our soldiers, they are trained to put the nation before self. That is their gallantry. Whether it's Mandeep Singh recently or Gursevak Singh today, the Sikh regiment, their motto anyway is Nishchay Kar Apni Jeet Karao. And Gursevak Singh actually, took that resolve, that final resolve to fight to his last breath, putting the country before self. And that is why you see this entire nation gearing up. His village, adjoining villages, like in the case of Mandeep Singh, the entire villages have come to pay their last respects. But again, it should, as the families also point out, it shouldn't just remain restricted, Devina, to this particular incident, that while the cremation is on for a month or two, the nation remembers and then they all forget. Somewhere down the line, it is a national resolve that needs to be taken to look after their families, to look after their children, their aged parents, and also ensure that Pakistan-sponsored terror does not continue to bleed us non-stop, Devina.
Absolutely, Gaurav, and also a promise from our political class not to play a blame game scenario, not to point fingers at the martyrdom of these brave men, because they have taught us so many lessons, at least 10 martyrs in the past 2 months, who have been standing tall in the face of the enemy, even as relentless ceasefire violation continues from the Pakistan side. Gaurav, today also we've seen that how unprovoked firing with heavy caliber machinery continues from the Pakistan side.
Absolutely. In the Poonch and the Mender sector, both south of Pir Panjal in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan has resorted to relentless ceasefire violations, desperately trying to push in infiltrators. But top sources in the army have told India Today that the army has also mounted a massive fire assault. They're using heavy caliber weapons, mortars to fire back. From what sources are telling India Today, they have destroyed some of Pakistani permanent defenses from where Pakistan is pushing in infiltrators, the posts that give cover fire to these infiltrators. All those posts, the army has opened fire. It still remains to be seen. We're still waiting for details of casualties across the line of control. But sources telling India Today that in the past 2 months, significant damage has been caused to Pakistani army and its terror infrastructure, at least along the line of control after the surgical strikes on the 29th of last month.
All right, Gaurav, you're also getting visuals from Taran Taran, that is the hometown of martyr Gursevak. We can see that his father, Balvinder Singh, is performing the last rites for the soldier. Sepoy Gursevak Singh of 22 Sikh Regiment was just 23 years old. And Gaurav, that's the way we can see the bitter irony playing out. 23-year-old, 24-year-old, these are young brave hearts who've understood the responsibility towards the nation first. It's a lesson also for many to learn. While everybody is talking about criticisms in their lives, it's soldiers like these who are young, who are also would like to live their life, who go at the border, guard our areas, meet the fire of the enemy, give a befitting reply, and don't worry about their life, about the family that they've left behind.
You know, their motto is Naam, Namak or Nishan. Naam is their Paltan's name, their own name, their company's name. Namak is the respect, the honor, the izzat that the army gives them and the nation gives them, and what is that is what they deserve. And Nishan is their flag. The flag must always fly high, whether of the Sikh regiment, of the Indian Army or the nation. These are the three flags these soldiers are most loyal to, and it's ingrained in them. It's ingrained in them that they live only for the Naam, Namak and Nishan, and that their family comes after that. The fact that they can actually do that day in and day out, even in today's day and age, when they're seeing, the turmoil the nation is going through, when they're seeing the kind of selfish attitude we see all across, and yet they put nation before self. This is indeed creditable and it's praiseworthy. What is also remarkable is the fact that there have been instances that the nation hasn't looked after families, and yet these soldiers put nation before self.
I just want to read out a message also, Gaurav, before we slip into a short break of the girl Gursevak was about to marry. You said, I'm proud that he faced the enemy. I'm proud that Gursevak laid his life for the nation. Couldn't have asked for a better husband.